dropped it. I dropped it. Okay. Whoop, I dropped the thing. The lens cap fell all the way down. Hold on. Fetch the lens cap. Oh, I don't have anybody to do that for me. Did I update today's date? I gotta update today's date in case somebody wants to call in today. September. Yep. 06 on. Alright. Is anybody calling in? It's open. Pushing the buttons over here. Did you get the levers figured out? Alright. We gotta. Oh, what do we click? Oh, we gotta click on that thing. Okay. Where's that button? Hold on. Where do we get buttons on? What kind of buttons are we talking about? We're talking about all kinds of buttons because it's Monday. Whoa, 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 what's up? It's Monday. It's Labor Day. Labor Daber out here in glorious Western Washington of the United States of America. On Labor Day, the day where we celebrate American labor, in which American laborers get the day off. They don't have to work. It's a celebration for the day in which American laborers said, we don't want to work 7 days a week anymore, so we shall have 1 day off a year, 1 Monday off per annual calendar year. We shall have 1 day off for all you hard-working laborers here out in the United States, and you're going to have a Monday off. It's going to be September. It's going to be the first Monday. It's going to be the first Monday of September, and hopefully the weather is nice. This year, pandemic year, 2021'erd, the kids have already gone back to school. They started school last week, and they had like a 3-day week. And then they had a 3-day weekend. So I don't know. Is that nice? I don't know. I don't know if it's nice. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I'm not a teenager, so I don't know. Yes, it is also Labor Day in Canada because Canada likes to do what America does, just later on after the fact. Hard talk for the old Canadians out there. Hard talk. I was looking it up that Canada has the Labor Day on the exact same day, and I forget where it was. The American Labor Day, blah, 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 blah. I looked this up earlier. I looked this up earlier today because I was listening to a book about the late 1800s whilst on vacation. To those of you out there, where's when did Canada adopt it? Canada adopted Labor Day. Let's see. Canadian Labor Day. Labor Day in Canada. Oh my God, it was on the exact same day. 1894. Okay, never mind. Scratch that. Canadians adopted it on the exact same day that America did. So I guess it was North American solidarity. Does Mexico have a Labor Day? Mexico Labor Day. Probably not. Sunday, May 1st. Okay, so they're on the May 1st Labor Day. The traditional, what do they call that? May Day. May Day. Because, off with their heads and all that, right? Most countries do their Labor Day in May, Seems like a bad idea in North America because May 1st is always raining and poor weather. Poor weather. But I thought Canada adopted it later than America, but it turns out both 1894. So color me wrong. I was wrong, and I apologize for that, Canada. You did it the same time we did. We all went from working 365 days a year to 364 days a year on the same day. 1894. Look at that. Anyhow, what's up? If you guys don't know, those of you international folks, we have a 3-day weekend here because Monday is today, Labor Day. We have the day off, national holiday. And it's the end of summer here. So if you're not in our hemisphere, you might not know why it would be a good time to have a 3-day weekend. It's the end of summer, which means it's nice out. It's 78 degrees and sunny. Excuse me, I have a weird burp. Oh my God, what was that? That was weird. Anyhow, it's 78 degrees and sunny, which is just comfortable and nice and just marvelous outside. I don't know what that is in Celsius. We may never know. We may never know. This thing won't load over here. Let's put it in Celsius. 24. 24 Celsiums. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Does it matter? Probably not. But 25. 25 Celsius. Yeah. What is this? I try to open up my my weather widget down here, and it straight up just starts giving me a bunch of ads about nonsense. Color you're wrong is the wrong color. Oh, it doesn't matter. You know what? I just thought Canada had done their Labor Day later, and turns out it was on the exact same date in history. Oh, wow. So, I was mentioning earlier that if you all were being good, we were going to do a live stream today. What was the live stream going to be about? We don't know. We didn't have any prep today because I was legit driving my trailer across the state of Washington. From the north to the south, that's what was up today. We played in the sandbox this morning. We ran around in some greenery, some shrubberies, right? We ran around in the morning sun, had a good time, loaded everything up into our Traver trailer, and we headed back southerly in the 160-mile drive, which I don't even know how many kilometers that is. How many kilometers is that? I don't know, 300 or something? I don't know. What's going on over here? I just got a notification. Okay, that's fine. We're fine. Don't worry about that notification. It doesn't matter. It was just audible for some reason. We have to turn the sound off over here. Hey. Shh. Shh. Be quiet. Other computer. No, we don't want the help button. I want to click this, and then I want to turn off sound. There we go. There. Sheesh. This computer over here is being finicky. Can't trust it. Just wanted to turn the sounds off. But anyhow, we had a lovely weekend. Got to go out and look at the mountains and hike around and play with my beautiful daughter and spend some time with some family, chit-chatting over the old fireside, having the old fireside chit-chats. Good times, great times, blah, blah, blah. What is it? Good times, great oldies. Yeah. Yes, we did that. That's what this weekend was all about. Also, Vicky and I got to go drive and look around at a couple of potential properties, just because we're looking around at some potential properties, because that's just how it is these days. You guys knew that I was going to build a giant fish room here. I don't think I'm going to do that now. The reality is we have a lovely community here. And as you guys know, I am constantly working on stuff, which even this weekend, while we were gone, I was working on stuff. Unfortunately, it is very smoky in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State because wildfires are out of control, as always, around here these days. And, so some of the filming and pictures I was trying to shoot did not come out that well because of, when there's smoke in between your camera and the subject, it doesn't work that well. And when you're shooting, images that are like, 6 miles away and then there's some smoke in that, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of screws it up. So, but I'm always working, as you guys know. And I was planning on building a big fish room here on the property that we're living at here. Some things have come up. Some personal things have come up. And I don't know if we're going to build this property. We might just plan on moving. I don't know. We're going to see over the next couple of months what shakes out. I wish I had like a monumental explanation of what was going on for you at this very moment. I don't. But since you guys are the awesome patrons, you guys are the awesome members on YouTube and whatnot, I went away for the weekend, worked on some stuff. We went from 81 members to 83 members, which is wild to think about. Because that puts us 8.3% towards our goal of 1,000 members, which is closer than we were when I left. We went tearing out of here on Friday. It was definitely enjoyable, I will say that. Having the trailer, being able to take the family, going out into the woods and just kind of following through on one of the few vacations that we had scheduled this year and able to do it because the wildfire didn't burn the campground down. Didn't have to, it finally worked. We went on a weekend and we came back and it was like uneventful. Like the biggest thing that happened was we forgot to start dinner early one night. So we ended up going to this little walk-up burger joint thing where you walk up to the window, order your stuff, and then wait in a parking lot for it because COVID, But definitely had some good times. Ran into some weirdos out in the woods. But all friendly weirdos. And strangely enough, we were out there in the people that like claim to be very independent thinkers, if you know the kind that I'm talking about, the anti-vax type, the anti-mask type. And the funny thing is that 90% of people were masked up, except one guy, because I had to go to the store and get some milk for Olivia for this one. This little one here required some milk situation. And her parents, myself and Vicky Toria, forgot to load extra milk into the trailer. Got forgotten. So I had to go buy some milk. And, of course, the one guy who didn't have a mask on, he looked like he was a gold miner from, 200 years ago. Giant beard. He was all covered in dirt. He was all dirty as all get out. Which, of course, he refused to wear a mask, but he also had a .45 on his hip, And if you're familiar with that pistol, it was kind of like, I wanted to ask him. I wanted to go like, is this part of the world that dangerous that you gotta literally have a hand cannon on you at the grocery store? It's just kind of one of those things that always cracks me up. It's like, you're not worried about catching a vaccine, but you're worried about, I don't know, armed robbers or something in the middle of nowhere where there's like 8 people and they all know each other. Yeah, very, very strange. Nina says, I started my first fish tank when I got out of rehab. Does fish keeping help you in recovery? How can I not screw up my first tank and your first year of recovery? Okay. I can answer this question. As you guys know, I'm a sober guy. I have my 7-year chip. I've been sober for 7 years. I'm working on 8 years, but let's not get our horses, or let's not get the carriage before the horse. And let's double check my clock over here. 2,673 days sober I have been, which is good. It's fantastic. I love it. It gives me a warm, tingly feeling down in my cockles whenever I think about it. And if you don't know what cockles are those little clam guys that go like this, and they swim off into the sea. You know what I'm talking about. And, so I've been sober that long. As you guys know, I've had a pretty wild history. You guys watching this channel know I'm a weirdo up there on the list. You know what I'm saying? Weirdo high up on the list. Now, my first piece of advice, keep your tank, or my first piece of rehab aquarium advice, keep your tank super simple. Okay? It's the first thing that you need to do. For me, that was focusing on snails, shrimps, and plants. Because when plants die, you're okay. You know what I mean? Nobody, you know what I'm saying? If some plants die, you're like, oh, crap, I got to get some new plants. I may have screwed something up. But doing a planted aquarium without a whole bunch of fish in it is a fantastic way to learn how to test your aquarium, figure out what's going on with your water, notice big changes, small changes, all those kinds of things that are going on with your aquarium without running the risk of a bunch of fish ending up dying. The loss of life is very discouraging, right? It does suck when your plants die. Oh, my Anubias died. Oh, crap. But it's also, I can get another plant. I can grow some more plants. I can figure out what I did wrong. It's a great way, in my opinion, to get a tank ready, learn how to deal with fish. Because once you've learned how to deal with a planted aquarium and do fairly well, you can basically add fish to it and be not all that concerned about you failing with the fish. You know what I'm saying? You will have learned how to test the water. You will learn how to get into a system of doing your water changes on a regular basis. I set timers on my phone. Like I set calendar timers where I go like, oh, Thursday, I change these tanks. Then 2 weeks later, those tanks pop back up again. I do most of my tanks on a 2-week cycle. I don't do weekly water changes on every tank. And because of that right now, like I do, I have 5 really big tanks as the only ones that I'm doing water changes on right now. And so I can do 3 1 week and do 2 the next week, 3 1 week, 2 the next week, instead of trying to do all 5 in one day. It just makes it a lot easier on my scheduling to do it that way. And so that would be my advice with your first year for anybody doing a fish tank, let alone being in recovery. Now, did fish keeping help me in my recovery? I think because fish keeping for me came before recovery, so I didn't really like get into it because I got sober. I got sober and then continued. You know, like I continued to do my my fish tank stuff. I obviously made a bunch of changes with things that are going on in my life and stuff like that, obviously. But it was a good thing to have some kind of stable thing to work on, something that was relying on me to take care of it and stuff like that. But I will tell you, recovery comes first. Recovery comes before any other stuff. Your first year of recovery, you need to focus on your recovery. That is what you need to do. You will find time to do hobbies as the year goes on, as your life continues to go on. You will find more time to do hobbies and stuff like that. But if you are in your first year of recovery, you have got to focus on that. That is what your priority has got to be. You cannot be worried about your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or this or that or the other thing. You have got to focus, number one, on your recovery. And that means going to meetings, you know, probably going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever your version of that may look like, and focusing on the elements of recovery. I recommend a 12-step program. There is Smart Recovery. There's another recovery that I forget right now that's an alternative, but they're all basically a 12-step program of learning a level of acceptance, figuring out what it is that was causing, or not causing, but a lot of the reasons that you get into drug and alcohol abuse is because you realistically have a lot of unresolved issues. That is a lot of what I have noticed in recovery from a lot of people there. There's a bunch of unresolved stuff. Having been in alcohol, having been involved as an alcoholic and addict, you will get all these resentments built up and stuff like that that will lead you back to drinking again, to drugging again, and the next thing you know, that in its own right is a resentment, which leads you to continue to do the same behavior. Most people will continue to do a behavior that is bad for themselves as an excuse that they think that they're going to be doing better by just continuing to do the same behavior over and over again. Alcoholism and addiction is progressive. It doesn't start out being out of hand. It normally starts out as innocuous, a beer here, a beer there, a drink here, a drink there, partying here, partying there, blah, 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 and eventually it snowballs and cascades into a serious lifelong problem that you would probably have to deal with. But the reason I bring that up is that you need to focus on your recovery if you are at a point where you are somebody who thinks you need to be in recovery. If you are at that point where you're realizing that the big benefit in your life would be recovery, you need to focus on that. That's what you need to do. All the other stuff will begin to improve if you are focusing on getting all that stuff sorted out. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, from every little nook and cranny of my body, all of that stuff will start to figure itself out if you work on your recovery. That will slowly but surely work its way back into your life. The good things that you wanted to be back into your life, they will slowly work their way back in. Relationships will be mended. Bad relationships you can figure out how to get away from. There's just a lot that goes into it, and it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, dedication to do it. It's hard work. It's very worth it, 100%. I don't even mince words over it. People that show up that aren't working on it and they aren't working hard, get bad results. So my point of advice would be to just work on it, work on your recovery, and just stick to it. Stick to it. Somebody gave me a piece of advice when I was getting sober. When I got sober, they were like, just do this honestly for a year and see where, after a year, you could go back to doing whatever you want to do. If you are honestly sober for a year, you're honestly doing your step work, you get a sponsor, you work through your steps, you do the stuff that you're doing, you could go back to doing whatever you want after that. But just do it for a year. We're all going to live on this planet for like 75 years or something like that. I think life expectancy is 75, 76 years or something like that. If one of those years you aren't partying, what have you really missed out on? Not much. And if you're going to go back to it, you could go back to it after a year. Somebody told me that, and I was like, all right. And then by the end of the year, it seemed like there was no way I would ever go back. And I didn't even want to. It wasn't even a desire that I had. People drink around me all the time. If I go to parties, if I go to social events, if I go to stuff like that, I have no temptation. I just go like, oh, yeah, you guys are drinking, whatever. Doesn't bother me. Oh, I'll have a cup of coffee. Oh, I'll have some water. I'll have some ice water, folks. I like ice water. It's delicious. Just to prove a point, I'll drink all that ice water. I didn't realize how thirsty I was today. I was running around sweating a lot this weekend and realized, like, oh, maybe I'm a little dehydrated, bros. Joel G, all the way out of New Zealand, is here. Massimo Wong. Patty's Petite Tanks S. Alfredo Villarreal is here. Cade Nice. Weirdo Cockles. That's right. Legit. Nina Alyssa Muppet 29. Skogs. Shrimp and Stuff. Mickham. Andikin was asking what was our topic for today. The topic is whatever you guys bring up in the chat. More often than not, you guys post things into the chat, and I like talking about them. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a question, let me pontificate on it for a little while. If you have I don't know, you bring up something, I'm probably going to talk about it. You know what I mean? That's the topic. That's why I don't really title these shows, hey, we're going to talk about aquarium filters today, because I could talk about aquarium filters and then a half an hour's gone by and there really isn't that much to talk about anymore. I typically schedule this show to be 2 hours long. So if I title something aquarium filters and then somebody shows up at an hour and 15 minutes, they're like, you're not even talking about aquarium filters. This is such a Such a bummer. I'm super pissed. And then I have to ban them from the channel because they're just being rude. For instance, the other day, somebody came to the channel and was watching. They were watching a live stream that was 3 days old. They got super pissed that there was music at the beginning, and then I was saying hi to everybody in the chat and how big of a waste of time it was for them to have waited all the way through that. And I just didn't even have the energy in me to be like, there's a fast forward button. This isn't even a live event that you're watching. So I just banned them from the channel because I don't have time to like be a babysitter for grown humans. You know what I mean? Like I personally don't have time for that. It's not something I can do. It's not something I can follow through on. So I just banned them because there's like 30 million other YouTube channels they could watch and they could just go bug them. It's reality. I'm not lying to you. It's just reality. But Nina, with a follow-up, says, thanks, I'm just starting the 12 steps. Think I'll stick to a few neons and plants this year. No multiple tank syndrome, drilling, or sumps, or I'll get overwhelmed. That's a good point. That first year, get a hang-on filter, get an aqua clear hang-on back filter, get a little heater, get a little light, get some neons and some plants, and just enjoy it. Don't let it get spiraling out of control. Just have a thing that you're doing, especially if you're in that first year of recovery. And congratulations on getting into recovery. It is very worthwhile. In all honesty, it would be a worthwhile for people that don't need to get sober to do the 12 steps. It's a non-invasive way to work through stuff that's going on with human beings. It's basically the way to explain it. I don't know a better way to put it into words, but most everybody out there that's an adult could utilize some 12-step program. And maybe you don't have to, maybe you don't have a drinking or a drug problem or something like that, but the 12 steps really do help you work through whatever issues you could be bogging you down and giving yourself problems. Oh my God, and we've got a $26.73 super chat from Mr. Skoglund himself, Skogs Shrimp and Stuff, and my man. Thank you very much. As you guys know, all your super chats, all of your memberships, all of your patrons, all of your buying stuff on Amazon, all that kind of stuff goes right back into making more content, and content like this, interactive, having a live stream, you know? There is a point where somebody asked me, they were like, would you want to live stream more? Would you want to live stream more, like on Twitch or whatnot? And the answer to that question is, like, if it was something that I could do as a sustainable business, probably, yeah. I probably would do 3, 4, 5 hours a day talking to you guys about stuff, having guests on more often and things if I could make it sustainable. If I could make it a sustainable business, hell yeah. I would hire people and pay them money because it's Labor Day, you know? Bigfoot Fish Tank says, hello. What's up? How you doing? Brian Maramba says, hey, Corvus, can you successfully and realistically house two different species of plecos, like a Goldie and zebra, and can they interbreed? Ooh, man. Can they interbreed? I don't think so. I think there's just some species of pleco that we have poorly identified that would be able to, breed together. But they won't, plecos that are over here, they're not going to be able to interbreed. But we may have some that are poorly identified that might end up breeding together. Does that make sense? Where you'd be like, oh, this has some kind of street name, pleco, and it turns out it's close enough relative to this other one, they might be able to breed or something like that. But if they're a different species, they're not going to be able to breed together. It just wouldn't work. But most plecos have different needs. They have different food that they want. They have different tank parameters that they want, pH, temperature, blah, blah, blah. Now, that said, there are a bunch of plecos that can be housed together, and they will be okay. But you would seriously have to go down the list and figure out, like, oh, these are soft water plecos, so I better have them in a low pH tank, blah, blah, blah. And you could generally have you could generally have a lot of plecos living in one tank as long as you're feeding them well, and they are similar tank parameters, and you have enough space for them to kind of have their own zones where they can sort of exist and not have to battle out for space. That's more often than not the issue with just having lots of plecos in a tank. In fact, Alyssa and I were talking about that last week when we had her here on Friday, which she, as far as I know, should be back this Friday as our local pleco breeding aficionado. I was going to say expert, but I feel like aficionado feels like more fun. But she'll be back on Friday, and we'll be able to talk about more pleco stuff. Also, if you become a patron or a member, you can always post stuff up on the Discord at any time. We have a large community of people there answering questions, and you can always post them up, and they'll exist there. You can post pictures, you can post GIFs, you can post memes, you can post whatever you want, as long as it's safe. You know what I'm talking about. It has to be within the realm of normal human conversation. Like, you might need to drop an F-bomb here and there, but that doesn't mean that we're all about just being crass all the time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Arsenal of Color. Whoa, what's up? Longtime patron just jumping in from a long time. Didn't think I was gonna some major life truths drops. Totally awesome. How many people have you personally seen go back to responsible substance use? I think if you wanted to kind of delve into responsible substance use after recovery, I think Dr. Carl Hart is the guy who advocates for that. And the thing is, I've known people that have gone back into being just, somebody who drinks a couple beers on the weekends and stuff. I personally don't recommend that because, like I mentioned earlier, it's the snowball effect. It starts to become the focus eventually. And one of my sponsors, who's a great guy, I love him. He's a fantastic guy. One of my sponsors that he talked about his personal experience with that. He got at one point in time when he was much younger, got sober for about 5 years. His life turned around, and then he was having a beer on the weekend, and he was having a beer on the weekend, and everything was fine. Like, he was having a beer when he went to bowling. He was having a beer when he went over here, and everything was going fine. And then, another 5, 6, 7 years go by, and he was basically back to where he was before. It really, like I said, it is a snowball. It's a snowballing effect for a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people, it's most people. A lot of people out there go, whoa, 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 this got out of hand for a little while, and they'll personally just pump the brakes and figure it out themselves. I wasn't that guy that would be able to do that. I was a guy who would be able to pump the brakes for the court says I can't do this for however long. Okay. Or, I don't know. It's kind of hard to relate. It's kind of hard to make sense of how to relate it to people. But, it's like, If the court said I had to do something for 6 months, I would have done it for exactly 6 months. Does that make sense? And then I would have just gone back to what I was doing before. So I have a lot of willpower, but the unfortunate part is that that willpower will expire whenever I've made my own decision as to when it will expire. And for me, I've made the decision that I'm gonna do everything I can today to stay sober. And continue to do that for the rest of my life. That's my plan. That's all my plan. Right? So I'm just going to keep doing that, and it will keep going. Nina says, this hobby is eating up all my beer money, so I guess it will help me stay sober. Just take that beer money and put it in a savings account. Just start saving some money. Life is like a broken leg away from financial disaster. So I would just recommend to anybody out there, get on some kind of savings program. Start figuring out how to save a little bit of money here and there, because hopefully you're going to be able to invest it in something at some point in time. Yeah. Brian Maramba has a good point. Dr. Carl Hart is the guy who casually does heroin. That's probably impossible for addicts. Carl Hart's thing is that he basically is an addict. He's a doctor in addiction medicine and whatnot. So he's realistically trying to he's trying to bring like a different perspective. I disagree with it. I don't think it's a great way to go about spreading a message around. But it's probably going to work for a lot of people that aren't like strictly just hardcore addicts, and alcoholics and stuff. So it might work. And if it's bringing something beneficial and something positive to the world, I'm all for it. So, it's just not something that I would pass on to anybody. But if you were looking into that, that's where I would go to look. I've read 2 of his books, and I just found myself at the end of like both of those books kind of going like, there's really some valid information in here, but I don't think it applies. It doesn't apply like 100% to me. So probably some good info in there if that was something that you were looking into. But, everybody's got to make their own decision on what they're going to do in their life. And, like I said, for me, just being sober is the best. It's the best for me because I don't even want to try to navigate a slippery slope. That's not something I even want to bother with. I don't want to bother with like, well, I had 4 beers last week, so that's probably fine because that's what normal people, blah, 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 blah. Nope. I'd rather have had some ice cream last week and think like, man, I might have to do a little extra jogging this week, That's a much better issue for me to deal with is like, oh man, I ate a bunch of ice cream last week. I'm going to have to do some jogging versus thinking about any of that other crap, So I don't know how Carl does it. It doesn't make sense to me, but he's probably not an addict as far as I could tell. Oh my God. I was fiddling with this camera doodad, this quick release camera doodad, and it flew on the ground. And I'm going to fiddle with the other one so that I remember to pick up the one that fell on the ground. Brian Marumba says, if you get addicted to something, just do a bunch of ibogaine and ayahuasca. I will tell you, there were a lot of idiots in Peru going to do ayahuasca. And I don't think any of them were cured or even solved anything. There were lots of people in Peru, and we were there to catch fish just like a month ago. Was that a month ago? I don't know. It wasn't that long ago. 3 weeks ago. And there was a bunch of people there that were there for ayahuasca tourism. And it seems like a really shady thing to get involved in. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody before going to Peru, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it to anybody after having gone to Peru. It's a very bad idea. Don't. It's not going to help you. You're just going to go to the jungle. You're probably going to get sick. You're probably going to get, I don't know, one of those old-timey diseases like dysentery or something, and do some drugs in the woods with strangers. That's basically it. It's not going to help anything. If talking salt, I can imagine Corvus would start talking about Gandhi. And I would love it, like Corvus doing his things. Am I supposed to talk about salt? Oh, my God. Gillett going old school with the New Zealand $5 super chat, trying to get me to talk about salt. And I have talked about salt in the past like a maniac. I think he knows that. And I think we're going to skip past that rabbit hole today because, I love Gillett, I love salt, and I love New Zealand. But I don't know. I feel like we're going to end up like getting into such a weird place. We're going to get into such a weird place if we start talking about salt. New local Austin says, I admire your confidence. I like and value your honesty. Look out for buttworms. That's right. When I went to Peru, one of the big things I was watching out for was the buttworm. I didn't want to get the buttworm. It sounded so bad. My mom's friend got the buttworm when she went to Peru probably 20 years ago and was very concerned. So far, I'm doing good. So far, I have a clean bill of health. As far as any kind of worm situation goes on, as far as any kind of butt situation goes on, we're pretty good. We're pretty good on that front. So it seems like things are going well. Gillett was saying, haha, I just tried to think of the most boring topic vaguely related to fish. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've gone in depth so many times on salt on this stream that I feel like I would take so many sidebars that it would get so weird and convoluted at this point. I think I would want to do a little bullet point presentation on salt. Make some notes and then be able to follow my notes so I don't get off on all these weird tangents that don't make any sense. And literally somebody out there's eyes are spinning around because they're trying to track what it is I'm talking about. But did everybody hit the like button today? That's what I'm wondering about. The like button is free. It's just, you don't even have to do anything, really. You just push thing with your finger or your thumb or your tongue or your nose or whatever appendage you use to poke buttons on YouTube, and it will tell the YouTube robots that we did good job today. And then the robots will be excited. Ken. Hey, Ken is here. Ken just got in from the grind. Now, Ken, I got to address the elephant in the room, because I believe a couple weeks ago you were watching one of the live streams, and I think you thought it was live, and you couldn't figure out why people were not responding to your comments. But today, Ken, you are here. You are live. I'm live. It is happening. Today is Labor Day 2021. Capsaicin spelling is my favorite back pain remedy. The spicy capsaicin? Is that what we're talking about? I don't know how you would utilize that. Aquatic Amigo says, so the buttworm is a real thing, huh? Yes, it is actually like a worm parasite that gets in your intestines, which they're normally just referred to as worms. Like, you have worms. It's because they don't want to mention the butt part. That's where your intestines are attached to, you know what I'm saying? Like, your intestines attached to your colon, which attaches to your rectum, which attaches to your anus. And none of that bothers me, because that's just a human biology. We all got one, and it's a thing. And I think it's funny to say buttworm. I think it's hilarious. And so I just refer to it that way. But yeah, it would be parasitic worms that would be in your intestines. And that's a very big parasite issue. Going to South America, going to the Amazon, it's something that you could pick up while you're down there. And it would be very interesting to... or it would be very important, not interesting, it would be very important to avoid getting that, even though it is treatable and whatnot. The scary part was my mother's friend, the doctors played a trick on her because they knew who she was from working in the hospital. And they, once the worms was removed, they sent her a baby, what is it, the congratulations baby thing? The congratulations, it's a girl. Ooh. And I thought, my God, if that had happened to me, I don't know if I'd ever be able to live it down. Just like the person that it happened to has not been able to live it down. Arsenal of Color says, thanks for your perspective. Just evaluating my own use, since I tend to allow it to become more of a focus than I would like. Helpful discussion for me. Yeah, that's one of those things. I think it's very easy with drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. It could easily cascade, snowball, and become much more of a focus than people would like. And I think that oftentimes, what is it? What is the doctors? There's a doctor. What is it? Definition of addiction. Let's see. Addiction is defined as a chronic, relapsing disorder characterized by compulsive drug seeking, continued use despite harmful consequences, and long-lasting changes in the brain. It is considered both a complex brain disorder and a mental illness. And then there's a questionnaire that the doctors give you that's basically like, is this affecting your home situation? your housing, your job, your personal relationships. Is this having an effect on all of those things? Is a great metric of going, do I have a problem, or am I just being problematic? You know what I mean? There's a slight difference there. You could have too many glasses of wine and tell everybody to F off one weekend. That doesn't mean that you're an alcoholic, but you might want to appraise what it is that you're doing. And normally that's how they can figure out if this is more of an issue than just casually being an idiot, right? Yeah. Muppet 929 says, my friend's baby was outside playing on the ground. Later, she found an earthworm in his diaper, so she rushed him to the doctors thinking he had worms. That is great. That is a great example of being a parent. That is a great example of being a parent right there, of like, oh my God, I freaked out, and now I realize in hindsight, oops, that was a bit much. Oh, hey, there's a scissor icon now for sharing clips. Is that a new thing that started today from Zelfernide? No, that actually started what I think was months and months ago, but it recently got implemented on my channel about 3 weeks ago or something like that. People have been asking about it because it now actually shows up on your on the average YouTube user when you open it up on your phone or on your computer or whatever. You can use that scissor icon to cut out a clip and share your own clips from my show or anybody else's show that has that enabled. And I think it's a really good feature. I don't know if anybody has even used it for my live stream. I almost thought it would be like the most useful thing of people to be able to take clips and go, can you expand on this somehow? Or, hey, I really like this 5 minutes. People don't want to watch a 2-hour thing. And I really like this 5 minutes, and I thought it was impactful for me, regardless of who it was. If it was my show or anybody else's. You can make a clip, share it out there, and hopefully kind of spread the wealth around or whatever. I don't know. Mickham says, any specific reflections on the Peru trip now, 2 to 3 weeks later? Yeah, I do have a lot of kind of specific things that I've been writing about from the Peru trip. I'm kind of waiting to get too deep into the Peru stuff until I can make some edited content about it, which means that I'm waiting for the content to come out from on the Aquarium Co-op channel, just to make sure that I'm not using stuff that needs to be used there. But yes, I've been writing scripts. There will be some edited content that comes out, just kind of talking about the real experience of going to Peru, what it was like, what I would have improved on, what I would have not improved on, what was really good, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And then just kind of go from there. I think a lot of what I'm going to be doing on my channel is sort of the personal interactions with the people, trying to focus on, the economic side, the humanity side of having gone to Peru. I believe the Aquarium Co-op is going to focus on the fish. So I think that stuff's going to be covered really well and really in depth. So I think that part's going to be covered there. And then I think what I'm going to kind of focus on is just sort of my weird take on the people of Peru, sort of the political issues that everybody's dealing with, like what my take with the Amazon was, what the forest was like, that kind of stuff, and then kind of go from there. Arsenal of Aquatics is asking, okay, I do have something I've been meaning to ask you for a while. Is keeping fish in high-tech tanks doable? Is it difficult? Things to look out for? Hopefully not as common as talk about salt. Yeah, 100%. I keep fish in my high-tech tanks. So, yes, it definitely is doable. The difficulty, more often than not, does not revolve around the fish. The fish, if you are maintaining good water quality, if you are maintaining, good water quality and, like, sufficient parameters for the fish, most fish are going to do well. If you're feeding a variety of food, maintaining the water, maintaining the parameters, most fish are going to do pretty well. Most fish like to be in a Planet aquarium or a high-tech aquarium, as it's put. Most of them like to be in there because most of everything that they're looking for in their environment, you've provided it for them. Areas to hide, areas to breed, areas to swim around. It definitely is doable as far as I'm concerned. The big difficulty that most people have is maintaining an aquascape that looks picturesque. That's more often than not what most people bring to me is going, I've got 30 different plants in this tank. It is super hard to keep it aquascaped. It's super hard to figure out how to keep everything trimmed, to keep everything looking robust, to keep everything healthy. How much fertilizer do I add? Blah, 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 this kind of stuff. And that's why I was mentioning earlier in the stream today, if you work on just learning a planted aquarium with like some snails, with some white cloud mountain minnows, and maybe some shrimp, just some stuff that's super hardy, that's not going to really have a big impact on what you're doing with the aquarium. You're going to end up really getting in a rhythm, really starting to figure out a lot of stuff before you have to deal with some really complicated, difficult to deal with fish. I find fish breeding, a bunch of breeding aquariums with, spawning mops and pulling eggs out and putting eggs in tumblers and moving egg nests over here. And I got to move the female over to this tank and the male's got to go over to this tank and these guys got to breed and I got to catch these eggs out. And this male fish is not taking care of his eggs or this female is not taking care of them. The mouth brooder's having a problem, blah, 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 all that stuff. That I don't want to do that. I'll be honest with you guys. I do not get excited when I get out of bed in the morning to go, let's do 48 water changes on a bunch of tanks so that I can breed fish. I don't like it. It's not something that I like. You guys know there are a few breeds that I specifically went very in-depth with breeding. For instance, betta fish, most varieties of betta fish. The wild betas to the show betas, all that kind of stuff. I was breeding those like crazy for a long time. And one of the big issues with that is I kind of started that under the assumption that I would try to turn that into a business at some point in time. When the curtain got pulled back and I realized what the actual business of being a fish breeder is, I realized there's much easier ways for me to be poor the rest of my life. There's much easier ways to do it. There's much more less wasteful ways to be poor the rest of my life. And if I was going to continue doing fish breeding projects, they really had to be stellar. I had to be like really stellarly interested in them. And so I kind of stopped doing the breeding thing because I wasn't super interested in it. I wasn't really invested in it emotionally. And so I didn't have a lot of gratification from breeding fish and just constantly breeding them all the time and then bagging them up and trying to sell them to a store or sell them to somebody off Craigslist or Facebook or whatever. I did not like it. It's not something that I like to do. But if you gave me a nursery full of plants, I would jump out of bed every morning and want to go breed plants. I would want to do that. I would be like, how do we make this nursery bigger? I want to add more tanks. We got to start growing some different plants. We got to figure out the humidity in here. Like, what's up with the air quality in this room? I love that. I don't know how much I could explain to you guys. I don't know how I don't know how to like put it into words that I want to be a small farmer someday. It's going to take me a lot of work to get there. I do not have the inheritance of family. I do not have the inheritance of land. I do not have the inheritance of a combine You know, like I don't have any of that family stuff, which most people get into farming and stuff because of their family, right? So Victoria and myself are slowly but surely taking every little step that we can when we can to move closer and closer to being able to do that. As Chirish says, shrimp are way easier and super chill. It's the perfect breakdown of why I got into shrimp. I was breeding tons of high-end shrimp that at the time were high-end. Nowadays are a lot more common to find. It was one of the methods I used to fuel my collectoritis, my multiple tank syndrome, building out lots and lots of tanks that were, in hindsight, not that great, but they were great like 12 or 13 years ago. And so shrimp would be a great avenue to go down, if I would say personally, if I was going to start breeding something like that again. But I'm just continuing to try to do my best to go down the plant road. Building plant maintenance systems, sump-driven maintenance plant systems and stuff like that. Just increasing my tooling ability, doing better, learning every week more carpentry, more masonry work, more electrical work, more programming, just learning as much as I possibly can to try and get better and better at my plant craft, whatever you want to call it. Like underwater horticulture, is going to be where I continue to put my energy, and that's where I'm going to keep putting it for as long as I can think. Corey and I, Corey from Aquarium Co-op, we got sponsored to go to Germany at one point in time, and we were able to go meet Stefan Hummel, who is assuredly one of my heroes in the aquarium hobby. And just going like, who do I want to be like when I'm 65? And going like, that's the guy. Everybody wants to be Takahashi Amano. And as much as I would love to be at the point of being able to set up 5,000-gallon freshwater aquascaped aquariums and have a whole team of aquascapers and all of that, I would love that. That would be great. I don't know if that's ever realistically going to happen. Most super rich people do not like me. I've met lots of super rich people, and they don't like the cut of my jib. So I don't know that I'm ever going to be hired for a Jeff Bezos aquascape extravaganza. I don't know if I'm ever going to be hired for that. We could all have pipe dreams about that kind of thing, but I realistically know that I can build a greenhouse, that I can set up indoor plant farming stuff and continue to do that within the budget that I have now, and hopefully do a better job at being able to make produced video content for you guys that isn't as bad as my older content. Does that make sense? I am just continuing to try and make better and better stuff, and a lot of it's not even coming up to really end up on this channel because a lot of it's gotten thrown away. A lot of it's just been pushed off to other venues, I guess would be the easy way to put it. And I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling and doing that stuff. And right now we own, our property here is quite small. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, we really hope to upgrade and try to get somewhere in the range of between 5 to 10 acres. Because right now, all the projects are running into each other on this property, and we are hopefully going to be able to upgrade to more space. If anybody out there has looked around in the housing market since the pandemic broke, it is skyrocketed through the roof. So it is incredibly difficult right now to find anything in the affordability range that just isn't a dump, So we're just continuing to kind of go step by step, Ooh, baby. And we're going to keep doing that. Reaver says, my Fluval 2.0's Wi-Fi unit died on me. Swapped it over to the timer I use for overwintering tropical plants, debating on ordering a new unit for the light or saving up to upgrade to the 3.0. Honestly, I have been very satisfied with the Fluval Fresh and Plant 3.0. I've been very happy with it. It does a lot of stuff that really means a lot to me. The light quality is good. The LED quality is just good. It has the timer. It has the LED controller in it. It's waterproof, blah, blah, blah. It has a whole bunch of stuff that I enjoy. Some people out there, they want the Tim the Tool Man Taylor more power lights. I don't even think we need that much light at all. So I seem to do fine with fertilizing CO2 and maintaining good water quality and using the Fluval 3.0s. I have 3 of them over my 240-gallon aquarium. Only has 3 of the 48-inch ones on it. I'm about to add a 4th one back onto it to fill out the back corner with some light. And then, the reality there is like a lot of people in the world would be like, that's not enough light. You need more. And it's like, what for? Everything is growing. Would you want more growing? I mean, they're growing pretty good. So I find the lights to be quite sufficient. But like how much are those lights now? Fluval, Fresh and Plant. Oh wait, here we go. 3.0 LED light fixture. There we go. How much is this thing now? Well, I guess the full-size one is $219.99 now. There we go. Copy paste. There we go. Copy paste. That is the link. Oh, and the Federal Trade Commission requires me to tell you that I'm an Amazon affiliate. So if you click on the Amazon link, you can go buy whatever you want from Amazon. I'll get a commission off the sales. It doesn't change your pricing, but just know I am incentivized for you to send you to Amazon. Where did that Amazon link for Amazon Video go? Because they were saying that if somebody signs up for Amazon Video, even just for the trial, I'm supposed to get a $10 commission, which is the biggest commission I've ever seen in my entire life from Amazon. So I'm going to find that link here real quick. Amazon Video. Video Prime Streaming. Here we go. Is this the thing I'm supposed to share with you guys? I don't know. But if you don't have Amazon Prime Video, go through this link and then, like, I don't know, sign up for the free trial or something, because it's like a $10 super chat and you could just cancel, I guess, I think. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But they sent me an email saying you should get people to sign up for Amazon Prime Video, and I was like, I feel like if you have Amazon Prime, you already have the video there. So I'm not sure why they were telling me to do that, but welcome to 2021. You know what I mean? Let's double check our email here, see if we got any new patrons today. We did not get any new patrons today, but I believe we got a new patron just the other day who I want to give a shout out to, and here it is. Oh, I got to push the bell button. That's the button I got to push, and it'll tell me. Some people canceled their patron, and I feel like that's really sad. Like, it's sad to see you go. It makes me sad. But Kristen Nicole, shout out to Kristen Nicole for becoming a new patron, and I very much appreciate it. $1 a month. I love it. That is more money than any amount of YouTube watching could ever equate to. So thank you. I appreciate it. We've got like 30,000 people watching this channel from time to time, off and on, subscribed, whatever. If they all just chipped in $1, I could make all the videos. If they all chipped in $1 a month, I could make all the videos, because I literally would not have any other job at that point. Brian Maramba says, I'd be interested in a live stream just on your shrimp breeding experience. Also, it'd be cool to have a breeding guide like these 2 shrimp make this type of shrimp. That would be, that would be actually like a good, it would be a great project to work on. I just don't know when I would have the time to specifically accomplish a breeding guide. Although that is a great idea. I'd like the idea. And as I mentioned earlier, there's members and then there's patrons. All the members and patrons get access to our Discord. And if you don't know what Discord is, it is an app that's for chatting. And it's basically IRC chat. If you are old school and you remember being around the internet as an older school person, Discord was designed so that gamers could be playing games and not have to be in-game with everybody. Does that make sense? So it works on your phone. It works on your computer. We're able to share content all the time with each other, and it's just people from this community. So we don't have to deal with trolls. We don't have to deal with people acting a fool. We don't have to deal with crazy advertising all the time and all that kind of stuff. So for as little as $1 a month, you could join up on there. And, if you want to start working on a shrimp project or something like that, if you're on the Discord, it would be a great place to petition me to be like, hey, can you work on this? Can you work on this thing? Can we get some other people involved? Somebody has some experience over here. Somebody has some experience over there, and start bringing our perspectives together to try and get more than just this one guy right here going, hey, man, here's more of me telling you what's up. How about us telling you what's up? So it's something that I really look forward to, being able to work on bigger projects like that someday. Excuse me. So when people are confused what Discord is, they go like, hey, is this some kind of weird invasive app? It's literally designed to be not invasive, and I think Microsoft tried to buy it for $12 billion last year. To give you an idea of the validity of the platform, Microsoft wanted to buy it for $12 billion, and they said, nah, we don't want to do that to all of our users. So it's a great platform. The people that run it are awesome. They're constantly doing, it's just pretty badass. Right now, I'm speaking on the voice channel on there. And if anybody on the Discord wants to call in, they can. They can. Hi, I hope everyone is doing, I hope you and everyone is having a great day. I don't know why I couldn't read that properly, but Robin Guppy Art, what's up? I think everybody's having a good day. I haven't seen anybody say that there was a bad day. Alyssa Bentley said, I got a buddy who went in with his wife on a property in Centralia with his parents, and they're farm-to-table living out there now. It's pretty sweet. Yes. As you said, you have a buddy who went in with his wife on a property with his parents. See? That's that intergenerational maneuver that I don't have access to, that a lot of people out there in the world have access to, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that. I have a lovely family. I love my family to death. They did not bequeath upon to me enough money to buy or 100 acres of corn land or something. I haven't had that. I haven't had that happen to me. So don't know. We're working. We're twerking. I basically had to restart my life 7 years ago. So, whatever that means to you, it means that's what it means to you. Alyssa Bentley has a quick follow-up there, says, in-game at Ken. What I like about Discord is that I can be on my phone while I play on PC, so I don't have to tab out. Yeah, that's one of the big things, that you can just have Discord running while you're gaming, and it's not conflicting with it. Andikin says, can I substitute 5-gallon water jugs from the grocery store if I don't have access to RO? This is one of those times. This is one of those few times that you would want to get a TDS meter and see if the water that you're getting from the store, what is going on here? Where's my TDS meter link? Hold on, we'll find one here real quick. Whoa. These meters are super expensive. Oh my God. What is going on here? These ones are mind-bendingly expensive. Oh, this one is a pH meter also. Oh, here we go. Here's one that separate one that does pH and one that does TDS. So what I would do is actually take the TDS meter with a clean container to the place where you're buying your water from and test it with a TDS meter. And if you're getting 0 ppm off of 0 parts per million, if you're getting 0 parts per million off of that TDS meter, that means that they're filtered. That water is actually filtered. But if you don't, and let's say they're just putting mineral water in there, you could be adding something wacky to your tank that you're not really realizing that you'd be adding. But if their TDS is 0 parts per million, I would say go for it. It's probably not the most monetarily effective way to go about it, but I know people that have done it in the past from places that are selling RO water into those big 5-gallon jugs. So it's something that you could do. I wouldn't, financially, it's probably not a good move, but if you got to do it, you got to do it. And if you test it and you know it's good, then that's all good. Aubrey Wright says, I found a spring-fed pond filled with hydrilla or hornwort this weekend. I'm pretty sure the plants are invasive, but it was beautiful. So my recommendation to anybody who finds a pond, let's say you go out on a hike and you see something like an invasive plant, especially in the United States, you want to call your local municipality and say, hey, I think there's an invasive plant in this pond out here. Who do I contact to let them know what's going on? That actually happened in Washington State not too recently. Just a few months ago, a young kid went out to a pond, ID'd a plant out there, and was like, this plant isn't supposed to be here. Contacted the local municipality, said, hey, I found a pond. It has what looks like this in it. They said, oh, my God, we're going to go check it out. They went out, found out, there is an invasive plant here, and proceeded to start remediating it to hopefully save the ecosystem from an invasive plant like hornwort for sure. So if you do see something like that, you definitely want to contact, I don't know who exactly to recommend, but your local municipality will have some way to direct you to somebody, and it's something that I would definitely say. It was on the news even. It made it in the newspaper. It became a news story because she was like 12, and they were like, "Oh my God, someone who's 12 was more useful than a doorstop," And you're like, "Yeah, they're humans and they're doing stuff." Yeah. Brian says, I was listening to Burnt Chrysler and tell a story about when he wanted to be when he grew up, and he told the teacher he wanted to be an heir. LMAO, yeah, me too. I'm not gonna get down on Burnt Chrysler. I just got really tired. His comedy's not that good, in my opinion. Once you listen to a bunch of his podcasts or something like that, and you listen to his stand-up, you're kind of like, this is not all that great. he does have some funny jokes, and he seems like a fun guy, and everybody likes him. So, like everyone, I mean to say that like um, everyone in the industry that meets him seems to like him a lot. So he seems like a good dude and everything, and that's good to me. But his comedy fell off for me. I just don't like it that much. Mikey Fishy says, I'm a casual idiot without the help of substances, so that makes sense. It's probably why I have a fly swatter right here, just in case. You know? Where was I? Reading the chat. Reading the chat. If I read the chat, people leave because I'm not making noises with my mouth. Woo! Stephen P. 2003 Aquardics. The Aquardics is hilarious. I kind of feel lucky that alcohol, while fun at the time, doesn't agree with me during and after, to the point where if I have 3 drinks, it's a party. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Brian with the follow-up says, I like his podcast with Tom Segura. It is, the Two Bears, One Cave is pretty good, but I almost think like Two Bears, One Cave is better when it's Tom Segura and guest. Like he had one with, what's his name? The guy from The Daily Show. Let's see. Two Bears, One Cave guests. What was it? What's his name? I can't remember his name. Roy Wood Jr. The one with Roy Wood Jr. was hilarious. And I feel like when he has guests, it's almost better. I mean, where was the other one? Mark Maron. The one with Mark Maron was really good. Yeah, I mean it's kind of mean to say to the Chrysler himself, shirtless Chrysler. But like the Two Bears, One Cave with guest is almost better in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, and my opinion doesn't really mean all that much about anything. It's just like I would rather have chocolate ice cream, and somebody would be like, but I like orange sherbet. And you'd be like, well, I happen to like a thing that's different than someone else, which is totally fine. It's just a matter of opinion. It's not prescriptive, it's descriptive of like, was I entertained? Oh, I gotta check the Discord. Did anybody call in? God, not even Zip Gun called in. No one called in. No one called in on the show today. What are we gonna do if no one calls in? Where's Lady Guinevere? Did something happen to her at the the Petco instead of the PetSmart this time? Let's see. What do we got here? Somebody mentioned something on, where was it? Live stream. Oh yeah, Glenn had a follow-up on the dad shoe conversation. Okay, we had a dad shoe conversation last Friday, going full steam ahead into full-on dadhood, which were the best dad shoes. Oops, I opened the wrong button there. I want to push this one. There we go. And Glenn had a good follow-up here. He said he's not really sure what a dad shoe is, but Tony Llama is pretty good in my area north of the 49th, which is Canada. Double H makes good substitute at about 1/2 the cost. He bought a pair of Tony Llama in 1979, which is crazy to think somebody bought shoes that are older than me. When I was going out, I remember paying $375 for them, and I've had to have them resold 3 times. Still very comfortable boots. Boots for the win. I can't do the riding heel, need the walking heel, which is I agree with. I can't do the riding heel in boots either. That drives me nuts. I don't understand how people walk around on those, but I guess It's normally short people that need the extra boost. You know what I'm saying? Definitely need the walking heel. I've never bought a pair of $400 boots, though. I will tell you, I've never gone that deep. I've never gone that deep into buying a pair of boots that were $400. It's a lot of money, but I'm glad to hear that they lasted at least 41 years for Glenn. But Alyssa followed up, any shoe that can actually be resold is a win as far as I'm concerned, and I will agree with that exact sentiment right there, that if you can resole a shoe, it's going to be a quality shoe if it's resolable. That's pretty fantastic, honestly. I like to resole mine with Vibrams, though, because I don't normally do boots anymore. I do, they're called approach shoes, is generally what the type that I like. Let me find a link so people understand what I'm talking about when I talk about approach shoes. They're like half rock climbing, half hiking shoe. Let me see if I can find a pair here that's good. Merrell makes kind of a cheap pair, but they didn't last. They didn't last very long. I didn't like those ones, but 510, these shoes last pretty well. Keen's makes a good pair. Keen's makes a good pair. This is what I call the I feel like this is a what do you call that? Compromise shoe. This is like a compromise shoe between wearing a rock climbing shoe and going full dad shoe. So that I can still hike in them, and they work really well for work. I use them all the time for work because I'm constantly climbing up and down ladders, clinging onto buildings, going up rockery, and doing all sorts of stuff for work. And they do a great job. They do a great job, a gerb, as it were, of accommodating the work that I do regularly too. So I can actually wear a shoe that that does pretty well. That does pretty well for me in all of those environs that I'm in. But these can always be replaced with a Vibram sole. You know, get them resoled, and then boom, you're ready to roll with some more. Andikin says, do I own any cryptocurrency? I currently do not, as I owned Litecoin as of maybe 3 or 4 days ago or something like that. Litecoin went up to $220 or something like that, so I sold it off because I was like, that seems like the high water mark here for the next however long, and if Litecoin goes back to close to $100, I'll buy some more again, because it's all about pumping and dumping. If you got the crypto, if you got crypto, it's the pumping and the dumping and the pumping and the dumping. Brought to you by what's his name? One of the guys from Key and Peele. I can't remember which one it was. But he did that on John Oliver's show, and it's a pretty good breakdown there for you. Chira says, hey, those are my dad's shoes. I think somebody came up with the Monarchs, I think is what it was, like the #1 dad shoe, which I had to agree with. Let me go find, yeah, the Nike Monarchs. Those are the #1 dad shoe, I think, is what we came. Nike Monarchs. Monarch shoes, men. I think these are the epitome of a dad shoe. Ah, here they are. Here they are. The Nike men's Monarch 4s, I think. These are pretty much the ultimate dad shoe, I think. They come in that white. They're full on dad shoe, and they're gonna green those things up as soon as spring comes around. They're gonna get out there. They're gonna start mowing. Which is funny because I was talking to a friend of mine who recently had some kids, and he was actively talking about how much he loves mowing the lawn now, because he's like, your wife can't tell you you're doing something wrong or you're not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, because The mower is super loud, and you're mowing the lawn. So you're literally doing a chore that needs to be done, but no one can really bother you while you do it because it's like, oh, this mower's too loud. I don't know what you're saying, and keep the kids away because I got to do this thing. And I realized that that's what most guys are doing, and that's why they want to mow an epic lawn. And I would say from my standpoint, I would like to own blueberry bushes instead of a lawn. To be brutally honest with you guys, I would like rows of blueberry bushes out front in planters and not have a lawn at all. I like hanging out with my family. I think they're cool. I like Vicky and I like my daughter, and I like hanging out with them. And I kind of, like doing that. That's a thing I like to do. It's why that whole thing went down, because I was like, hey, if we made a baby, it would be pretty cool, and then we could hang out with that baby, and then we could teach the human stuff. Yeah. And Vicky was like, I like that idea. And I was like, I like that idea too. Oh. Nina, I bought Bitcoin at 150 and sold at 500. It went up to 40K. I know that feel, man. I know that feel. I know a guy who lost a wallet with 600 Bitcoin in it. That's a lot of money. If you're not a math wizard, it's a lot of money. Hold on, should we do the math here? Let's do 600 times 50,000. 1, 2, 3. That's $30 million. Yeah. I was trying to remember if it was $3 million or $30 million. It's $30 million, guys. That's a hard pill to swallow. And the guy that it happened to is literally the only guy I know that would just be like, that happened. I'm sure he meditated on it a lot. The New Balance 624 are the most dad shoes. Yeah, the New Balance are up there. Okay. Let's get the 624s up here. Those are definitely most dad, but if you're talking about like top tier dads, you got to have the Nike Monarchs. Like New Balance just feels like average dude happened to be at like Payless Shoe Source or something, wherever dads shop. And they were on sale, like the New Balance were on sale for like $19.99, and they're also going to tell you about the deal they got on them, like how good the deal was. As my uncle was telling me over the weekend, like the amazing shoe deals he gets. And then it was immediately followed up by a conversation of how bad his knee is now, right? And I was like, does this have anything to do with the $20 shoes you're buying? Possibly. Could have something to do with your screwed up knee. The $20 shoes could be the problem. It might not be, but it could be. So if you get all braggadocious, I love my uncle. I love him to death. Every once in a while, he says some of the funniest stuff that's literally like, wait a minute, that just contradicted the thing that you were talking about 2 minutes ago. And I love him. He's a great guy, and he's a very good man, and he does good. He does good at pretty much everything he does. But every once in a while, we have a conversation where it's like, hey, weren't you telling me how bad your knee was, and then now you're telling me about how good it is to buy $20 shoes? I'm like, these things correlate in my mind, and they might not to most people, but they do to me. If they're on sale, you get extra dad points. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, they're going to tell you all about. They're going to tell you all about the deal if they're on sale. You know what I mean? My tank has a few small spots of cyanobacteria. Erythromycin helped, but it's back. What natural treatments might help keep it coming back? By the way, thanks for your thoughtful advice earlier. Typically, I have issues with cyanobacteria when my pH gets a little bit high. So what I'll normally do is add some almond leaves to the sump or something like that. You mentioned earlier you don't have a sump, so you might be able to just add some almond leaves to a clip to the back of the tank or something like that. Kind of naturally add a little bit of tannin and a little bit of drop the pH down a little bit, and that will most likely get rid of cyanobacteria. I don't normally recommend big pH swings for anybody, but a slow bit of decreasing the pH normally kind of clears that up for me normally. Alyssa Bentley says, I think if I called up my dad and just asked him what shoes he wears, he would give me the Consumer Report recommendation plus a 20-minute lecture about them. Sounds about right. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're slowing down here, getting up to the end of the show. A bunch of people left, but hopefully everybody hit the like button, and then when the like button is officially hit, everybody will know that they liked it. We did get 2 super chats today. We got no new members, which is unfortunate, because I like announcing that we got new members, but we didn't get any. So I will legit be talking about it right now to hopefully inspire somebody to become a member, but they probably won't. So it's all good. But we did get 2 super chats today. One from Skogs Shrimp and Stuff. Steven, I love you. You've been around for a long time, and I hope we get to continue to be around. And one of these days, we're going to start to figure out a good project for Steven and I to work on together if we ever get time to do it. It will be some cross-country flights, but we got to figure it out. We got to get that sorted. You know what I mean? We're going to get it sorted, eh? And we also got a super chat from Joel G from New Z to talk about salt, and I appreciate it. As I mentioned, it goes into just keeping the lights on and the internet turned up and turned up to 11 and doing all the things that we got to do around here, which is chat on the Discord, talk to all the people, and have the good times and make YouTube videos. So thank you, everybody, for coming out today and having a good time with us. Hopefully, if you want to become part of the community, you do at some point in time. And if not, if it's not in the cards for you, then I understand. But we will talk to you. Let me check the Discord here. Nobody wanted to yell at me live today, so that's okay. Some people are shy. Bunch of people are shy. So you know how it is. All right, we got to go. And I got to go take care of my daughter. Bye-bye.